Welcome, Pewter Report readers, viewers, and listeners to a brand new edition of the Pewter Report podcast, brought to you by our friends over at Briargreaves Insurance. Protecting your assets starts with a company that you can count on. So whether it's auto, homeowners, flood, boaters, or business insurance, there's nobody better in the business to work with than the great people over at Briargreaves Insurance. For more information about them, visit their website, briargreavesinsurance.com, or give them a call at 813-876-4166. That's 813-876-4166. It is a Wednesday edition of the Pewter Report podcast. So that means we are going to preview the Bucs' next game, which they are back on the road taking on the Seattle Seahawks in one of the most aesthetically pleasing games, because the Bucs will be back in their 1976 throwback uniforms with the Bucco Bruce helmet, as you see on the screen there with the Mecca Bucca. And the Seahawks, who are also celebrating their 50-year anniversary as a franchise, they'll be in the light blue uniforms with the silver helmet. So it'll be a fun one to watch from that one alone, and it should be a good game between two winning teams as well. So we're going to break it all down on today's show. I'm your host, Matt Terra. Joined with me is Scott Reynolds of pewterreport.com. What's going on, Scott?
How you doing, Matt? Eventful day at One Buccaneer Place today. A lot going on. Starting with kind of the running back position, everybody wants to know is Bucky Irving going to play? And he was not wearing cleats today during the team's walkthrough. They had a walkthrough because they didn't have enough bodies to get through practice. Todd Bowles said that they probably had more players that were injured than they had healthy players today. It's never a good sign. So they had more people watching practice than participating. But Bucky Irving did not have cleats on. What did he have on today, Matt?
He had a boot. A boot on his left foot, and he had crutches as well. So, again, it was a walkthrough, so the Bucs are going to be as precautious as possible with Bucky specifically. But not ideal. I know there's been some updates and reports of the Bucs haven't made a decision on anything. And it's like, okay, so the report is that the news is that there is no news. And as we know, Todd Bowles is very mum is the word when it comes to injuries in general. And pretty much what Todd Bowles said was if he's in a boot still on Friday, then he probably won't play.
Right.
But we're taking it day by day. So pretty much each day, pay attention to practice and, when we're tweeting out what's going on, because each day it might be something different. Maybe we'll see Bucky out there tomorrow, even just in any capacity, even just standing on the sidelines. Maybe he won't be out there at all. But there's no denying how important Bucky Irving, is to this team. He's kind of been the workhorse for this group this season already. They've relied on him heavily. So he's in a boot right now, and we'll see if that changes as the week goes on.
Yep. He had a great game as a receiver, certainly. Kind of waiting for him to kind of get back to last year's form as a running back, only averaging 3.3 yards per carry, has yet to score a touchdown on the ground, but he's got 2 receiving touchdowns. He's actually on pace to catch like 80 passes for 800 yards this year. He is about halfway to the point in terms of receptions and yards that he had last year as a whole. So he's done wonders as a receiver. I think once the offensive line comes back into form, and let's face it, Tristan Wirfs might have been the best offensive lineman out there on Sunday, Matt, and he was a little rusty from being inactive for the first couple weeks. Graham Barton looked rusty going back to center. He hasn't practiced there in a month. Same with Ben Bredesen at left guard. Charlie Heck and Luke Haggard on the right side. That's going to be an adventure on every play because they're not starting caliber players. So we'll see, I think, the better running back version of Bucky Irving as he gets back to health, as well as the offensive line kind of rounds back into form. And hopefully Luke Gedeke comes back, say, for that Lions game. And then you have 4 out of the 5 starters on the offensive line. You feel better about that. But it wasn't just Bucky Irving that was injured in that room. Skip Peete today suffered a medical emergency on the practice field. Again, they were doing a walkthrough, but a scary moment there for Coach Peete, who we love. I mean, he's fantastic in terms of not just the production from his guys, but we love talking with him. He is as candid as they come and just beloved inside that building.
Yeah, I had a great conversation with Skip Peete when we were in Pittsburgh for the joint training camp practice, and he was just talking about how his kids were, getting ready to go off to college, and he was giving a shout out to his wife because he obviously was there coaching the running backs and with the team, so his wife had to, send his children off to college, and yeah, it was a scary moment this morning at practice. The Bucs were in the indoor facility because it was a walkthrough.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because, like, as we were leaving, the paramedics started showing up. So we didn't even notice at the time that Skip Peete had gone down because the Bucs were like still doing some of their punt stuff and different things like that. But as we're walking out the door is like when the fire trucks and the ambulance and everything, rolled up. And then we did learn later that it was for Skip Peete. He had a medical episode. So we're definitely thinking about Skip Peete. The good news is he was alert, he was responsive, and he was in stable condition, which is great. They put him in an ambulance. He went to the hospital, but he was responsive. Todd Bowles said it could have been dehydration. He said preliminarily it's dehydration. And then Baker Mayfield said as well that Skip Peete was cracking jokes after. It's obviously a very serious situation, but Skip Peete tries to find the light in everything. And
He's great.
So hopefully he'll be okay. We'll see if he's out there tomorrow, but definitely sending our well wishes and speedy recovery to Skip Peete. But yeah, definitely a different way to start the morning.
Yeah, and I will say there are worse places to have a medical episode than an NFL franchise, especially one that has two hospitals directly across the street. So, we're glad to hear that it was probably a dehydration issue and more of like a fainting episode than maybe something else. The Bucs public relations staff will let us know if there's any change, but apparently he's doing okay and is kind of in stable condition. And this team does have medical personnel in the building, right? They're trainers and doctors and everything. So thankfully he was attended to very quickly and again rushed right across the street to get checked out at the hospital. So that's great news there for the Buccaneers. But it's not just Bucky Irving. We're still kind of waiting to hear, and just to let you guys know, we're not going to have an injury report during this podcast. So make sure you stay tuned to pewterreport.com later on tonight, 7 p.m. because the Bucs are playing a West Coast team.
Yeah.
They're not going to put out their injury report until the Seahawks do. That'll be 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 Pacific. So that's why we're not going to have an injury report there. But we can tell you that Todd Bowles is concerned about Jamel Dean, about Benjamin Morrison. But Matt, when you look at the situation last year and with Bryce Hall, who was their number 3 cornerback going out in week 1 and no longer available for the entire season. And then when Jamel Dean gets hurt, right? The options were Tyreek Funderburk and Josh Hayes. And now they're just so much better equipped. They drafted Benjamin Morrison and Jacob Parrish. And even if Benjamin Morrison and Jamel Dean both or either can't go, you have Parrish who he was a 3-year starter outside at cornerback at Kansas State. So he's got plenty of experience playing outside. And there's just a lot of ways you can kind of address that. And if you need some more corners, you got Kendall Vildor, who's been inactive for most of this year. He's been a veteran player in this league. I thought he played really well in training camp, a scrappy guy. And then you got Bryce Hall in the practice squad, you can call it. This is night and day difference in terms of the depth at cornerback position for this year.
Yeah, and Todd Bowles will have a couple of different options with what he wants to do if Jamel Dean and Benjamin Morrison are both out. And we should note as well, they were at practice today, but again, it's a walkthrough. They were standing around, so it's tough to say that they were really doing anything. We also saw Greg Gaines, which was good, and Hassan Reddick was out there as well, too. But yeah, as far as the cornerbacks and everybody you just mentioned there, we spoke to Jacob Parrish today, and he said he's even ramping up his studies, his works, everything even more, knowing that he could be playing outside corner in this game versus playing in the slot. So Jacob Parrish will be more than prepared. He will be over prepared if he has to play the outside corner. And that's why it'll be so interesting, of course, with the corners, Jamel Dean and Benjamin Morrison. But like Christian Izien, to me, plays a big factor into this. Because if Christian Izien can return, bam, you put him in the slot, and that way you can keep Tyke Smith at strong safety. And it's nothing on Tyke Smith playing into the slot because that's where he was last year.
Yeah.
But he's just so freaking good at strong safety right now with with what this entire secondary is doing. I would love, and again, you can only factor in so many things with who's available, but I would love if the Bucs didn't rock the boat as much as possible with the secondary because it's looked so good despite not having too many turnovers, only one interception on the season. But besides that, they're not allowing big plays deep. They're keeping everything in front of them. And no wide receiver has really, truly torched them in a game. And hopefully it doesn't happen this week with Jackson Smith and Jigba or Cooper Kupp, who, isn't the same Cooper Kupp from 2021. But if they can keep the group as back to normal as they possibly can, that obviously bodes well for everyone.
I'm with you. I'd almost like to see them play Kendall Vildor outside and see how he does right before you have to make some in-game adjustments. Give him a shot. Keep Parrish inside in the slot because guess what? That's where a lot of the action is going to be anyways for guys like Cooper Kupp and Jackson Smith and Jigba. They get their opportunities inside as well as playing outside. And have Kendall Vildor have a shot, right? And then you can always call up Bryce Hall from the practice squad, have him elevated for the game, and just take it from there. But I'm with you. I would keep Tyke Smith where he's been making plays. I necessarily wouldn't treat this like the offensive line did, trying to get their best athlete at the time, Graham Barton out there at left tackle. I don't know that you have to do that right now, but my name's not Todd Bowles, so neither's yours, so we don't really have a say in this. But I'm with you, Matt. I think that makes a lot of sense to just kind of keep everything the way it is and give Kendall Vildor an opportunity. He's playing on a 1-year deal, a cheap deal.
Yeah.
Just like we're going to see Rachaad White probably get the start for Bucky Irving. He's in a contract year. He wants this opportunity. Last time he played against the Seahawks, pretty good performance, 105 yards, a wicked stiff arm, out there in Germany. An angry run that he was praised for and given a scepter for. So I'm with you. I think you roll with Vildor and you have Bryce Hall as an option and see what happens. If you have to shuffle the deck because those guys aren't getting it done, we've seen Todd Bowles make some very successful in-game adjustments. Look at last week. I mean, the first half was completely different from the second half, thankfully.
Yeah.
And I trust Bowles to make the right call.
That's something that Elijah Roberts spoke about today. And Elijah Roberts has been really involved in this defense and on the defensive line ever since, Kalijah Kancey went out for the season. And his kind of big takeaway for the defense as an entire unit is, it was great what we did in the second half against the Eagles, but we got to find out how to start that way. We got to find out how to play like that in the first half and really for the entire game. And I think this might be a game playing against the Seahawks on Sunday at 4:05 p.m. where you're going to need to rely on the Bucs defense, I think, a little bit more than maybe you have this season or really since last season too, just because of how stingy the Seahawks can be on the defensive side. I mean, they just won their last game 23-20 over the Arizona Cardinals on Thursday Night Football, and we know how Thursday Night Football can get. It's a little sloppier. That was the most points that the Seahawks have allowed this season. And to do that on Thursday Night Football against a talented Cardinals team, I mean, this group is not laying down for everybody. And they haven't had the toughest of opponents. They played against the Saints. They played against the 49ers week 1, who the 49ers are a great team.
They are.
But they are certainly injured on the offensive side, and the Bucs will see them next week. So you got to factor a little bit into the quality of opponent. But I don't know if the Bucs are going to be scoring 30 points this game against the Seattle Seahawks. That's not to say that they can't win, but it might be time to get those turnovers in droves like they did against the Jets 2 weeks ago, because that might be the difference maker in this game against Seattle.
Yeah, they're going to have to. I heard you ask Todd Bowles a very good question. Hey, Todd, you've only got 2 takeaways this year on defense. 2. And they came in the same game against the Jets. That Jamel Dean pick 6. And most likely Dean's not going to play this week, so he won't be available to pick off the ball. And then you've got that forced fumble by Antoine Winfield Jr. on the strip sack that was recovered by Vita Vea. Those are the only 2 takeaways that the Bucs have this year. Meanwhile, holy smokes, the Seahawks have 7 interceptions. 7.
Yeah.
That's so far. That's the number that the Buccaneers had the entire season last year. And I think this is one of the most disappointing things. And I know Todd kind of brushed off your question, Matt. It was a good question. But it's like, you have to be disappointed. And it's okay to say that. You're 4 games in. You've played a quarter of football, And all you talked about the entire offseason was, I want ball hawks. We want ball hawks. You drafted a couple ball hawks. You put an emphasis on creating more takeaways, getting more interceptions, and you have 1 through 4 games. And meanwhile, you've got a team like Liam Cohen's Jacksonville Jaguars. They've had 4 straight games with 3 takeaways. 4. And that's why they beat the San Francisco 49ers in San Fran. And the reason why they're 3-1. The reason why Seattle's 3-1 is you said it, Matt. That defense is killer, man.
Yeah.
They go get the ball. They have 3 guys with 2 interceptions apiece already, including one of their dynamite linebackers, Ernest Jones. He's got 2.
Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant, the safety, has 2. You've got 2 from their cornerback, who rotates in with Devon Witherspoon, who was their first-round pick from last year. He is platooning with Darion Kendrick. Kendrick has 2. Josh Jobe has 1. So there's multiple guys getting in on this. It's crazy, but their big-time interceptor, Tariq Woolen, has actually had a very slow start. He's actually not played well this year, but he has the talent as a former Pro Bowler. He can turn it on at any point in time and get takeaways in bunches. Big, long, rangy, fast, 6'4" cornerback that I'm sure would love to go up against Mike Evans, given his size, but that's not going to happen this week. But yeah, man, this Mike Macdonald defense is no joke. This, to me, and no disrespect to Philadelphia, but I think if we're being honest, and I think if you ask Nick Sirianni and the Eagles are not playing their best football right now.
No,
they're not playing. They're not playing as good as they did last year, winning the Super Bowl, beating the Chiefs, or in the playoff run. They're not nearly as good right now that they were a year ago. Yet they're 4-0. They're undefeated. They're doing what needs to be done to win games. I think Seattle is a better football team than Philadelphia right now, Matt. This is going to be a harder challenge for the Buccaneers, to me.
Wow, that's a bold statement. But I mean, you look at how Seattle has played over the last 3 weeks, and they're on a 3-game winning streak. It's hard to deny that they're one of the best teams in football right now. And then the
Steelers around in Pittsburgh in week 2.
Yeah, exactly. And then you add in that this game is in Seattle, and that crowd is as much of a factor as it is in, other big time stadiums around the league, like Kansas City. And you can go on and on with a couple of other teams as well. But it's almost like the secondary, and it's years removed, and it's a little bit of a different group, and there's not exactly as verbose of a guy like when Seattle had him and the Bucs briefly. But it's a little bit like a Legion of Boom type of thing in terms of just a young core getting the job done. And the fact that they're getting these turnovers, not just by one player at one position, as you just mentioned, safety, linebacker, all over the spot. Baker Mayfield mentioned today talking about
Nick Amanwari.
Amanwari. Well, he's like, I can't pronounce his name, but like for him to talk about a rookie player on top of all the players with these interceptions, it's going to cause issues for the Bucs, and the Bucs can certainly combat that. I think it was really telling what Emeka Egbuka had to say today. He's like, listen, the issues. First of all, he talked about like the Eagles kind of grabbing him, and we could see that with Seattle as well.
Right.
He's like, listen, if it's not a flag, then it's not. If the flag isn't thrown, then it's not a penalty. It's not a penalty. We're gonna have to fight through this all season long. Yeah. And his final line was like, DBs have been grabbing since the game was invented. I really like that line.
True.
All right, you're right. And then some get called for it, and others don't. But then he talked about the slow starts for this team. And it's been a little bit more on the defense, in my opinion, than the offense with these slow starts. But, hey, let's face it. Week 1 against Atlanta, the Bucs had 2 straight 3-and-outs. They had a quick first drive against the Eagles that led to the block punt that led to them going down 7-0. And then they couldn't answer on that next drive, and then the defense didn't do their job, and bam, you're down 14-0. So it is on both sides regardless.
Correct.
And what Emeka Egbuka was saying, and I respect the confidence in a guy that's only played 4 career games, but certainly, is off to a fantastic start. He talked a lot about how there's nothing the opponents have done that the Bucs can't overcome. He talked about how when we watch the tape, it's our errors. It's our lack of execution that has led to us not being successful early in games. It's nothing that the opponent is doing where they're overmatching them. He's essentially saying they are too talented, and it all boils down to execution. And I think that's key for this game as well. You can't have drops. You can't have missed blocks. Baker can't fumble the ball, even though
That's
the
right.
Bucs are recovering it. You want to play a clean game every single week. You want to do it against the defending Super Bowl champs, and you want to do it against a team that's on a 3-game winning streak in their house.
Yeah.
With, again, seeding in the NFC is going to be very, very important, and tiebreakers. If we know the Bucs are going to win the NFC South, which we're still all in agreement about, these tiebreakers between a 1 seed, 2 seed, and 3 seed will be big time in these games.
Yeah, you're right. Because do you want to just host a wild card game and then go on the road for the rest of the postseason, or do you want to host that divisional round as well? Right. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Right. The Lions beat the Bucs in the divisional round because they had home field advantage. That was a big part of it. The Bucs had a home field advantage against the Rams. It didn't work out in 2021 because they didn't have Chris Godwin, and AB said peace out, and they didn't have Tristan Wirfs. Didn't have some of their star players. It wasn't enough. So, but yeah, you want to have as many home games as possible and take care of business at home. And that's the name of the game. You're right. These are important games coming up here. Seattle this week, San Francisco the next week, Lions the next week. These are all teams, including Philadelphia, they just played, that we're going to be talking about come January. And hopefully the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are still in that conversation as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's get to some super chats. We'll start with Bucs Basement. Thank you, Bucs Basement, for this $4.99 super chat. Says Bucs can't afford another 4-game losing streak. They need to try to go 2-2. A foot sprain is tricky. Talking about Bucky Irving. I'd rest him the next game or two. Well, the bright side for the Bucs, and I'm with you. Like if the Bucs go on a 4-game losing streak, to me they're the same old Bucs. And I get it. No Luke Gedeke, no Mike Evans, but you're the same old Bucs if you go on a 4-game losing streak. Better teams can overcome this. You never want to see Bucky Irving out, but at the same time, I don't want to speak for you, Scott, but I still got a lot of confidence in Rachaad White.
I do.
And Sean Tucker, while he is doing the kick returns and getting tackled there, he is very fresh. He's very fresh, playing only 3 offensive snaps at running back. So we'll definitely see a lot more Sean Tucker. And Baker Mayfield raved about Josh Williams today. Yeah. He said, I said it in training camp. I really, and you know when you put 2 reallys in front of something, you're actually a big fan of it. I really, really like Josh Williams. I think we may see him doing some kick returns.
I agree.
On Sunday with Sean Tucker being that
big returns in the preseason. Yeah, I agree. I'm with you, Matt. And you look back at they tried to get Luke Gedeke out there in that Houston game, and he played 12 snaps, and the foot just gave out and couldn't do it. Why? Because they weren't comfortable with Charlie Heck, right? Like if you have an option between a hurt Luke Gedeke and a healthy Charlie Heck, you're taking the hurt Luke Gedeke. Right. This is not the case this year. I think Tampa Bay has got the deepest running back room. The Lions might have the best 1-2 punch. That's arguable.
That's fair. Yeah.
But in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, you show me a better 1 through 4 depth chart at running back around the league, and we'll fight about that. Because I just think this is the deepest, most talented running back room in the entire league. And so to me, you have Rachaad White, who has had a good start to the season, very, very highly motivated Rachaad White in a contract year, who's already had some success against the Seahawks, granted different teams a couple of years ago and all that, but run Sean Tucker. He's itching to get carries. I mean, he has been so underused this year because the Buccaneers have had to claw, scratch, and fight to get back into games. They haven't had that game where it's like, hey, we're going to rest Bucky now, and we're going to rest Rachaad. Here, Sean, you take the fourth quarter and salt away this win. They haven't had that yet. So he's going to be motivated. And I'm with you. I'm a big believer in Josh Williams. He was our super sleeper heading into training camp. He proved us right. He made the team as a kick returner, as a running back. I'm with you. So I'm with you, Bucs Basement. Don't force Bucky back into action.
Yeah.
Rest him this week and have him healthier. I'd rather have a healthier Bucky Irving against the 49ers than a half-assed Bucky in this game and a half-assed Bucky the next game. And I don't mean that in terms of attitude or effort. I'm just talking about like how much he can actually go and withstand with a foot sprain.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of to your point about comparing Bucky and Rachaad versus what's going on with the tackle position, you'll take a 70% Luke Gedeke versus 100% Charlie Heck. I want a 100% Rachaad White versus a 70%.
I agree.
Irving, just based on what he's done. And I also wouldn't hate in a couple of situations, like first quarter, let Rachaad White be your guy. But depending on game flow, Rachaad White's still the best third down guy. Yeah. And I think there's some questions about Sean Tucker with pass blocking. I wouldn't hate if there's a couple of drives where Sean Tucker is your main guy for the whole drive.
Yeah.
But then Rashad White comes in on third down if you're in
I
those
agree.
third down situations. So
I agree.
we're not seeing that either.
Sean Tucker's a kind of a feast or famine back where like he'll give you, 2 yards, 5 yards, 1 yard, but then he can rip off a 20-yard run. He's got that ability. Any given run, he can scoot.
Yeah, for sure. Rashad White in short yard situations have been good too. Did it last game and certainly had the touchdown against the Texans. Mark Fisher, thank you for this $4.99 super chat. Says, SR, do you really think Seattle is better than Tampa? Gaines injury concerns me, but I'm encouraged by our showing versus Philly, special teams excluded.
Do I think Seattle's better than Tampa? No, I don't think they're better. I think they're on par. This is one of those games like last week, Matt. I think we talked about it on either the Pewter Insider or the Pewter pregame show. I wouldn't be surprised if either team won. I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles won or the Bucs. And I kind of feel that way too. Can the Bucs go out to Seattle and get a win? I absolutely believe they can. So I don't think Seattle's better. But do I think they could lose this game? Absolutely. And here's what concerns me about Seattle and doing my research and watching some film. The Seattle run defense is no joke, right? They've got some run stoppers up front. It starts with Leonard Williams, he's a stud, man. He and Byron Murphy. I loved him coming out of Texas. Byron Murphy, too, that nose tackle in the middle. Jerron Reed is a big dude. They play a 3-4 defense. They've got some active linebackers. Ernest Jones is no joke. I think he's a really good kind of unsung linebacker who's having a really good year. He's a do-it-all guy. He can cover. He's got 2 picks. He can blitz. He is what the Bucs want Servassier Dennis to be. Okay, so he's a very good player. They're 5th in run defense, 89.8. Tampa Bay is 4th. So Seattle is right behind him. So as good as Todd Bowles' unit is stopping the run, these guys are good at stopping the run. They have 12 sacks on the season. The Bucs have 10, so they can get after the quarterback too. We talked about their ability to take away the ball, 7 interceptions. They're a dangerous defense. Points are going to be at a premium. And speaking of points, Matt, the Seahawks are 6th in scoring offense. They're averaging just under 28 points per game. And what scares me is they're the 2nd best first quarter scoring team. They're averaging 8.8 points per game in the first quarter. By comparison, Tampa Bay is averaging 3.3, which ranks 24th. So to me, if you're Tampa Bay and you're going to give yourself a chance to win this game, you got to either win the first quarter or make it even. 3-3, 7-7, 10-10, 14-14, 0-0, whatever. You need to, if this is a prize fight, you got to absolutely survive the first round, okay? And head back to the corner and regroup and say, okay, we're not down in the first quarter. Let's take it up a notch and all that, because Seattle, they'll come out and jump up on you, and then it's just hard to get points on it because they're a really good defense.
Oh, for sure it is. I think you got to keep it to at least a 1-score game in the first quarter, because they've been down 1 score after the first quarter and then been able to fight back. But yeah, this is a completely different, I was going to say different animal, but they are going from an eagle to a Seahawk, and it's kind of similar anyway.
They're playing all the birds this year except for the Ravens. So,
so it is definitely a little bit of a different type of opponent versus some of the other teams that they've beaten. And at the same time, we could talk a little bit more about it later, but Sam Darnold looks like he's kind of been in the zone the past couple of games. Like something has really clicked for him. Eric Moreno, thanks for this $5 super chat, says, how surprised would you be if Bucky plays? Bowles said if he's in a boot on Friday, he probably won't play. Schefter said week to week, maybe 2 games.
Yeah, we kind of covered this. Again, my preference, I'm echoing what Matt said. I'm going to defer to offensive coordinator Matt Batera here. I'm with you. Like, play Rashad, play Sean Tucker. Let's get Bucky back as healthy as we can for that 49ers game. It's a long season. This is one game. If they lose this game, it's not the end of the world. I even picked them to lose, as we'll go through a couple comments here, ripping me for – not maybe ripping me, but pointing out the fact that I'm expecting the Bucs to lose this game. Hey, listen, we were right last week. Yeah. You come to the Pewter Report podcast, you read pewterreport.com because you want to know what we think. And we're not cheerleaders for the team. We'll tell you the good, the bad, the ugly, and hopefully there's a lot more good, and hopefully there's no ugly, and hopefully just a little bit of bad. And right now, 3-1 is not bad. It's good. But we'll see how these games play out. I think all of us predicted the Bucs to win the NFC South. We predicted the Bucs to have double-digit wins. I think I had them at 11 wins. So, and that's including a loss to the Eagles and the Seahawks. So right now I'm perfect. Everyone's perfect. We all picked the Bucs to win the first three and lose the Eagles game. Not sure who's going to pick what for this game, but wouldn't surprise me if it goes either way. But this is a tough place to play. 12th man, no joke. The other thing too that's worth noting is Baker Mayfield today said they got to stop beating themselves. They got to and kind of picking up on what Emeka Egbuka was talking about. It's been the Buccaneers that have slowed down their progress. Seattle is only averaging 5 penalties per game. That's the second fewest in the league. Tampa Bay is around 8. They're one of the more penalized teams. So again, first rule of football, don't beat yourself. And the Seahawks are not beating themselves. It's a big reason why they're 3-1.
Yeah, that's all that it takes to end up with the win.
Yep.
Sean, thank you for
Sean.
this 1999 super chat. We appreciate you. Says during Sunday's game, the broadcaster mentioned the Bucs intended to go with Klein, but made a last-minute change to Haggard. Any insight into that decision? Also, do you think Dan Feeney will get a shot to take over at right guard?
It's a great question. We were kind of even in the Pewter pregame, Shemat, wondering who was going to start at right guard.
Yeah.
On the team's depth chart they put out, was this gamesmanship or was this just what they were thinking at the time? They had Elijah Klein at right guard. And they went with Luke Haggard, who, of course, started at right guard. So maybe they wanted some more continuity on that side because he had started that game against the Jets at the right guard position where Elijah Klein started at left guard for Ben Bredesen, who was at center at that game. So maybe that was part of it. We'll ask Josh Grizzard what the thinking was tomorrow when we have a chance to interview him. But it's a good question. And I think right now any of those three guys could start, and I don't expect Josh to tell us tomorrow who's going to start. It doesn't help their chances of beating the Seahawks. They want to keep the Seahawks guessing. It's going to be one of those three. It very well maybe Luke Haggard again. Not a huge fan, but he's a bigger guy than, and maybe that went into it, Matt. You're going up against some really big defensive tackles in Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, and Elijah Klein just doesn't have the size that Luke Haggard does. Maybe that played into part of the decision making.
My gut feeling says that if they are going to turn to Feeney, it would be the following week against San Fran, because Bowles always talks a lot about getting the system down for when new players are in. He mentioned that with Elijah Simmons, who's played the last 2 games. And he said Elijah Simmons is going to play more once he has the system down. Right. And I think that might apply to Feeney in this context as well, because he was on Buffalo's practice squad. Again, it wasn't like they just signed him off the streets. He's been at practice each day, but he's only known the offense for a little bit. And I think, again, going into this environment in Seattle where it's probably going to be the silent count and different communications go on, I almost think next week, if, it's a real struggle from Haggard again, or if Klein's in the game, I get the feeling that Feeney might be the guy the following week when they're at home where there'll be more Bucs fans and, you won't have to go with the silent count. So that would be my guess with Feeney.
That makes a lot of sense. Yep.
And Jacob with a $5 super chat, thank you very much, says, I remember you said, SR, that Cohen had volatile moments in Tampa when he got hired by Jacksonville. Do you think he's a ticking time bomb up there?
Volatility is not a bad thing. John Gruden was a pretty volatile head coach. I love Coach Gruden. Probably my favorite coach that I've covered, if I'm being honest. I just learned more football from John than I did any other coaches. And that's not a slight. I love Bruce Arians. Tony Dungy and I are tight. Love Todd Bowles. Just something about Gruden. I'm kind of an animated, energetic, fire starter kind of guy. That's how I coach. So I coach Pop Warner. I think it's a fun way to do it. Was not the stand around with your arms crossed kind of guy whatsoever. So John kind of spoke to me that way. But, I've said this about John, and I believe this. John would get you 12-4 or 4-12, right? When the train was on the track, you want him as the conductor because, it's going full speed ahead. When the train jumped the track, he wasn't the kind of guy that would get that train back on the track. It was just kind of like, we're off the track and, season's over. Whereas guys like Tony Dungy, Todd Bowles, they can kind of right the ship. So we'll see. Liam Cohen right now, 3-1, hot start for them. I mean, that was a big win in San Francisco.
Yeah.
and I saw the post game speech. And I'm a Liam Cohen fan. I mean, I'm over the whole, like, the way it ended. I'm a Liam Cohen fan. I texted him after the game. I'm like, congratulations on that win. I mean, I like the jawing with Robert Saleh. I mean, he's a ginger, man. I think Mark Cook, the late great Mark Cook, would feel a little bit of a kinship with Liam Cohen. You know, a little bit of Irish blood there. So I like Liam. We'll see. I'm rooting for him. They're an AFC team. I'm a fan. I like what he's doing up there in Jacksonville. He's bringing a lot of energy. He's kind of a cutthroat mentality kind of guy. I could tell you some stories, but I can't. That would probably make you like Liam Cohen more than you do.
Maybe the insider on Friday.
Maybe the insider. Maybe I'll share a story or two there. If you're a Pewter Platinum or Premier member, I will do that. I will share a story. I don't think Liam would mind. But yeah, let's do a little quick promotion, shall we? Because we do have a podcast tomorrow. And that's going to be how did the banged up Bucs stay competitive, right? There's Hassan Reddick. We'll know more about his status tomorrow as well, dealing with the stinger. That's Thursday's show at 4:00 here on Pewter Report TV, also streamed live on X and Facebook at Pewter Report. And then our Pewter Insider on Friday will be, how will the Bucs deal with their injuries? What types of moves are they going to make on the chessboard? What type of are we going to have any insight about who will start at right guard? Will we have any insight about how Todd Bowles is going to reshuffle the secondary if Dean and Morrison can't play? That is the podcast for our Pewter Platinum and Premier members. And that's Friday at 1:30. And then Sunday after the game, we have another Pewter Report podcast, probably call it about 7:30 p.m. Because here's some news too. Todd Bowles said they're not expecting the game time to be changed at all due to the baseball schedule. So they're expecting a 4:05 p.m. Eastern time start. So 3 hours. So yeah, about 7:30 or so, we'll have our Bucs at Seahawks post-game podcast. And of course, on Sunday, make sure at 9 a.m. you are watching the Pewter pregame show, where we're going to be talking Bucs and Seahawks and having the latest injury news for you. That's the key. You make sure you want to tune in live for that at 9 a.m. and be in the know about who's playing and who's not going to play. I've got my sources, and they usually let us know at 9 o'clock. So make sure you check that out right here on Pewter Report TV. And then Matt Matera and Daniel Morales. You're not going to find any better commentary, any better reactions than those two. Pewter Game Day, and that kicks off at 4:05 right here on Pewter Report TV.
Can't wait. Going to be a fun time. Great teams going against each other. It's been fun doing the Game Day show with Daniel. He's very passionate about the Bucs, just as we are, and we keep it super interactive with everybody in the chat. So you'll get your voice heard with the Pewter Game Day show.
We have one more football game to tell you about, and it's not a Buccaneer game, but it's a USF Bulls game this Friday night at Raymond James Stadium. USF Bulls are on a roll. Alex Golish has got this team heading in the right direction. Josh Capo is very happy as a USF Bull alum. Bailey Adams, not so much. Rumor has it, Matt, that Bailey Adams, a UCF grad, is going to be dressed up in all purple tomorrow at Kansas State because his Knights lost to my Wildcats. So stay tuned for pictures about that on our X account tomorrow. But in the meantime, make sure you attend Friday night's game. If you have nothing going on, go to the Bulls game, man. Yeah. Tampa's team, October 3rd, 7 p.m. kickoff. Should be great weather. UCF Knights, we'll see how they do against the Kansas Jayhawks. But I know one thing. I think the Bulls are going to win this game against the Charlotte 49ers. October 3rd, 7 p.m., Raymond James Stadium. Scan that QR code right there to purchase your tickets. That's Nico Grammatica, too. That's Martine's son who's kicking
royalty.
Royalty
for sure. In the Tampa Bay area. We have one more super chat to get to, but I have one last comment about the Liam Cohen thing.
Yep.
Like, Robert Saleh started the whole thing when he talked about the stealing signs. It wasn't like they just played the game and then after Liam Cohen was like, hey, man, F you. Like, no, he had a reason why he was angry at Robert Saleh. So I don't blame Liam Cohen for that. I think if you're a Jaguars fan or just paying attention to Liam Cohen because of his history with the Bucs, what I think you would worry about is when Trevor Lawrence is like, yeah, get out of here. Yeah. When he did that earlier.
Yeah, right.
That would be more of a concern.
I agree.
But Rich Suggs, thank you for this $2 super chat. Follows that up with, what are your thoughts on all of our soft tissue injuries? Conditioning, hot, humid environment, or just unlucky?
You know, I tell you, it's not just Tampa. I know that you're Bucs fans and you have like this microcosm where you're laser focused on the Bucs, and kind of we are too. And I looked around the league. There's a lot of major injuries, and I'm just telling you, as an old school guy, and I've talked to players recently who played in the '90s and played in the 2000s, and had full contact mini camps and OTA times in the spring, and had 2 days in pads in training camp, and their bodies were better conditioned to take these types of injuries. You know, I mean, I don't remember like Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks and John Lynch and Rondé Barber missing games. You know, I mean,
yeah,
I remember Donnie Abraham missing games. I'm sure that there was a game here or there, but it just, I think in the effort to make the game safer, and listen, I'm all for player safety, right? And I understand why we've arrived where we are. And the players wanted a more relaxed off season with more time off and all that, and they got it. Okay. And that's what's done is done. The collective bargaining agreement is agreed upon by the league and the players. And you know what? I think the long-term dividends are going to pay off for the players. You're going to have less CTE in the future. You're going to have less crippling injuries as a result. So for the long term, players, when they retire, I think these moves are going to be beneficial.
Yeah.
But where it's hurting them is now when they're playing. And it might hurt their longevity in this league, and it might hurt their career earnings in this league, because, you know, the greatest ability is availability. And if you're not, you know, like how's this going to affect Elijah Cansey?
Yeah.
Right? He has become an injury prone player, and not his fault. He doesn't want to be injured. Same with Jamel Dean. It's like when you constantly have these injuries, soft tissue, you know, these tissue injuries, muscle injuries, it hurts your chances for your career earnings, your longevity of your career. So it's a double-edged sword. And I feel like these players, because of the soft training camps, and they're soft. These training camps are soft.
Yeah. It's not even two-hand touch. It's it's running on air. And yeah, it is a tough balancing act, because you are kind of trading long-term benefits versus like current situations. And I don't really know what the right answer is, because, you know, we've seen some older players, how bad these injuries have impacted their quality of life. And if you ask them, was it worth it? Some will say yes, but some will say no. So I don't know.
A lot of them will say no based upon what they made, what the players are making now. You know,
right? Yeah. When you hear like this quarterback's the highest paid player in the league, you know, 20 years ago, and it's like, okay, that's like the 7th highest defensive tackle,
right? Exactly.
Or whatever. Yeah. So that's tough too. Sunshine and Lollipops Cat, thank you for this $9.99 super chat. Says, soft practice play a part in injuries during the season. Emotionally hurts to see this. As a fan that pays a lot of money to be entertained, it is affecting the product on the field. Statistics.
It is. I agree with you, Kat. It's a trade-off, though. You know, you're trying to keep players healthier later in life and not be these destroyed bodies. And listen, 2 days in training camp are no joke. When it's full pads going at it, live goal line drills, you know, and you do all that, and then, oh, by the way, you're playing 17 games on top of that. That takes a toll. Like, I get it, but I'm just saying, I don't remember players missing time due to these soft tissue injuries nearly as much from when I started covering this team in the 90s, 2000s, and all that. The more time they have off, the softer the training camp practices, the more injuries we're seeing. And that's just not here in Tampa. That's league-wide.
Yeah, and it's like the same group that was here when they were winning the Super Bowl in 2020 and 2021. So, I don't know. There's never going to be a right answer, which is difficult. But it is what it is with Tampa Bay. As you mentioned before, other teams are just as banged up, and you got to find a way to get through it.
Yep. He's 0813. Appreciate you being a Pewter Report TV channel member. And a Pewter Platinum member. He says, if SR's predictions are correct, he has the Bucs losing to basically every team the national media thinks is better. They will pull off a couple of these upsets, but lose one they're not expected to. So I'm gonna let you in a little secret. I'm literally following my preseason predictions in my SR's Fab 5. And I told myself, barring anything major, I'm gonna stay true to that. So I had them losing this week. I have them beating the 49ers. So I don't have them having this 4-game slide. So we'll see. Hopefully I'll be right. I'd love to be wrong this weekend for y'all's sake, and then right the next week against the 49ers. But, you know, if the Buccaneers were more at full strength in terms of health, I'd like their chances better on Sunday. And I even said in my preview back in August when I made that prediction, I have no idea what type of team the Seahawks are going to be this year. Good, bad, mediocre? I don't know. I think they're a good team based on the teams they've played, what they've been able to do defensively, and how they've been able to, to find some connection. Sam Darnold is looking like the Sam Darnold he was in Minnesota. He's completing 70% of his passes.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield, who completed 71.4% of his passes last year, career high, franchise record, his completion percentage is down to 59%. Part of that is, not having the offensive line, having to make quicker throws, not having, the starting caliber receivers out there on a regular basis, throwing the ball down the field more often. The further you throw it, the less accurate those passes are going to be. That's not just Baker, that's everybody. I'd like to see them get back into some of what was working last year with Baker, working the middle of the field.
Yeah.
Short, rhythmic, quick slants, yards after catch. I'd like to see them do that. I know that Josh wants to push the ball down the field a little bit more. I'd like to see him peel that back a little bit more, and I think that would help the Bucs stay out of 3rd and long situations more often.
Yeah, I think that's been the big thing for the Bucs offense, not just like the slow starts, is that it doesn't feel like they had that rhythm that they had last year. And, they've kind of gone away from the screens a little bit. Like I thought screens are going to be a heavy part of this offense. And, we didn't see it as much last game. And the deep shots are nice when they work, but even like the 1-2 Ibuka, and Emeka even said it today, that was a scramble drill. That wasn't like a design, hey, Emeka Ibuka's open. He wasn't even supposed to be the main option on that play. And then luckily it just got past the finger of the defender, and therefore Ibuka took it to the house. But even Bucky, that was kind of a scramble drill play as well. Right. So even the deep shots are more of the improv that makes Baker so good. So, I think a little more up-tempo, a little more rhythm can help this offense get back to the 30 points. And Josh Grizzard will figure it out. I'm not worried about him. I'm not worried about this offense, even without some of the key pieces that they're missing at the moment. It'll just take a little bit more time. And we talked about growing pains with this.
That's right. And I'm with you, Matt. I think the defense has got to step up. This has got to be hey, we got to hold them at 20 points or less to have a chance of winning. I think the Bucs can put up 20, 23, 24 points in this game. It's not going to be much more than that. But this is going to be a game where the defense has got to force Seattle to kick field goals rather than score touchdowns and really, come up with some takeaways. That's going to be the equalizer, I think. Seattle's going to take the ball away on Sunday. That's going to happen. 1, 2, 3. I don't know how many, but Tampa Bay needs to do the same. D, I understand what you're saying. SR picking a Bucs lost 2 weeks in a row. Let's hope he's not the second coming of Nostradamus. If I am, I'm going straight to Hard Rock. I'm telling you that right now. I'm playing the lottery. Bear with me, folks. I have this team winning 11 games. I still stand by that. I don't see any reason why they can't or why they wouldn't. So you may not like some of these picks week to week, but the end result is 11 wins, and that's more than they had last year. So
and I love our fans, but I kind of don't understand people like gasping at the fact that we don't pick. Like our job is not to just blindly and wildly pick the Bucs every single week and say they're amazing. There's nothing wrong with this team. They could beat the 85 Bears right now. They could beat Tom Brady's undefeated team that the Giants beat in the Super Bowl. No, that's not our job. That's not realistic, So if we don't think the Bucs are going to win, we're not going to say, oh, yeah, they're going to win. They're great. No, that's not what we're here to do. Oh, by the way, we have Jacob Parrish's aunt in the chat. Wonka D. Parrish, thank you so much for watching the show. As she says, proud auntie, Jacob Parrish. We spoke to Jacob a little bit in the locker room today. He's having a great start to his career. And we'll see. We talked about it earlier on the show if he'll play in the slot again or if he'll play outside at corner. But I'm
a little biased. He's a K-Stater, and we talk a lot of K-State football in the locker room, and we haven't been happy, but we're going to be happy to have a conversation tomorrow because we finally got a win over Bailey Adams, UCF Knights. So there we go.
Yeah.
Let's see. We had I think a couple more. Was that it? I think that was the the questions we had there. Some
What we should
comments.
do, though, is give a shout out to our platinum members.
I think we should. Let's
Yeah.
do that.
Thank you to our platinum members, Scott Federico, Rachel Gordon, Noah Parr, Scotty J, Dave Anderson, Hezo813, Ash Fishpool, Joel Elrican, Sam, John Dale Morris, Zach Brannigan, RP89, Connor Four Reels, Kevin Thomas, Leighton Carter, Brandon Riley, Alec Bickler, Nick Dubuque, Zach Jarvis, Mario Thomas, Eric McMillan, Dominic Tarantino, HK Bucs, Brayon Pinkney, The Real Maverick, and The Guy is Gifted. Thank you so much for all of your support of pewterreport.com. We're looking forward to the Pewter Insider on Friday.
Jacob Harris getting some love from the chat, which is always great to see.
He's been in the conversation for Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
You don't typically see that with a third-round defensive back that plays in the slot, but hey, it's awesome.
I know. Hezo says, I want unfiltered truth, so I always respect SR's picks. Hey, you got to respect Matty Diamond's picks, too, especially when it comes to his prop bets. And tell us how you've done, Matty.
I hit, first of all, I'm 8-0 picking the Bucs games and this over-under spread. And, folks, I hope you took my picks for the Bucs game last game because I hit every single pick. It was a perfect game.
That's right.
It was a perfect game. If you took the Pewter Parlay, which was plus 700,
I didn't do that.
I might tell you. That hit. Every Bucs player prop hit. I had Baker over on passing and his touchdowns. Some of the Eagles props hit as well. Under on A.J. Brown. Over on Jalen Hurts rushing. Under on Saquon Barkley rushing. I had Ibuka anytime touchdown. So undefeated. Perfect game last week. I got a couple of NFL picks wrong, but as far as the Bucs, hit all those right. So I'm 8-0 picking the Bucs game and the spread. So pay attention to that one as well. Appreciate your free subtitles,
That's
AI.
Right. That's right. Got another super chat here from Mark Fisher. $1.90 super chat. Thank you. When SR joined Buck Mag back in the day, back in 1995. It had a rep as a homer mag. That's exactly the truth. And that's one of the first things I told Jeff Fox when I took over as editor back in 95. I said, we're going to change this. I'm going to call balls and strikes. And that's the only baseball reference you're going to get out of me. But we're going to not be the cheerleader rag. And as Mark says, y'all forgot when Scott joined Pewter Report, Buccaneer magazine had piss poor reputation precisely because it was seen as a rah-rah publication. That's right. And, we tell the truth, and that's something that I appreciate about Matt is he's brutally honest, and same with Bailey and Sly and Josh. We call like we see it. I've called for coaches to be fired. I don't want to do that, but when you have to make some changes, you have to make some changes sometimes. That's just how it is. So speaking of change, the folks over at Briar Greaves want you to know, hey, if you need a new insurance agent, they're willing and able to do so. And here's the best part. Let me just ask you this question. Do you want to save money on your homeowners or auto insurance? If you do you feel like you're paying too much? I know you don't have time to shop around. That's fine. But all you have to do is give them a phone call, and they'll do the shopping for you. They will save you time and money. Who wants more time and money? I do.
Me.
So give them a call at 813-876-4166. Just say, hey, heard you on the Pewter Report podcast. This is my situation. I've got this many vehicles in my family. I've got this many drivers. What can you do? Here's my address. Do I need flood insurance? Am I in a flood zone? Because we're in hurricane season, and we didn't have hurricanes until October, but boy, when they came hard. And a lot of people did not have flood insurance that lived in a flood zone. Got news for you. If you live near a creek, a river, near the coast, and you have storm surge or rising water, and it gets in your house, homeowners will not cover that. A lot of Floridians did not know that. They thought, oh, I'm good. I got homeowners insurance. Nope. That protects your roof. That protects against wind damage and things like that. But it is not for flood waters getting in your home. You need a separate policy for that. So the folks at Briar Greaves Insurance can help you with flood insurance. They can help get you lower rates on your homeowners and auto. Why not save some money and time with one phone call? 813-876-4166 or visit them on the web at briargreavesinsurance.com.
Yeah, I was actually just thinking recently, I believe last weekend was like that first hurricane that was coming through to Tampa. And then I think next weekend is when It'll be a year to when the Bucs had to go and practice at Tulane and everything
that's
like
right.
that.
That's right.
Yeah. So, yeah, be safe, everyone. You never know when these hurricanes can come through. Make sure
I
you
know.
check out Briar Grease Insurance.
Yeah. So just a couple of other notes real quick here. I'm going to give you a heads up right here. If I'm Todd Bowles, I'm putting Vita Vea on this guy. That is Anthony Bradford. He's the right guard for Seattle. He is awful. He's really bad. Like, he's bad. Big guy, 6'4", 334. Good in the run game, terrible in pass protection. He's not fast. He lunges. He ducks his head when he tries to block. He's been bad for 3 years in pass protection. I have no idea why he's a starter. He's one of those guys that he probably has pictures of somebody doing something. I don't know. But this is a guy, Elijah Roberts, on third down. You put it against him and have the rookie Cook and use his speed. On first and second down, you put Vita Vea as the 3-tech over this guy isolated and have Vita's power and suddenness give him fits. So I think that's going to be a key to victory. The other thing, too, is Carolina.
What are you doing, man?
What are we doing? What are we doing? You had Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold on your team. You had both of those guys who are having 3-1 records now. I mean, Baker is a 2-time Pro Bowler. Sam Darnold resurrected his career in Minnesota and is off to a hot start in Seattle. And Dave Canales, I love you, but you got Bryce Young, and he's not as good as either one of these guys. Carolina, what were you thinking?
Yeah, there was people that were asking before. I don't know what show I was watching, but they were like, "Are the Panthers is Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold a bust?" It's like, no, the Panthers are the bust.
Panthers are the bust.
The Panthers are the bust.
Yeah.
It's one thing like when the Jets had Sam Darnold go and Geno Smith go at separate times. Geno Smith was first.
Yeah.
But it's not like they had them at the same time on the same team. That's what the Panthers had, and they let both of them go. That's franchise malpractice. Yeah, Cali Buck says fumbled 2 starting quarterbacks. Yeah. Shout out to our guy JP Peterson. He had a very funny.
Yes, that was good.
He had a good question that elicited a funny response from Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
He said, Baker and Sam have a pretty good relationship. They were in the same draft class, and he asked them if they ever reminisce about the good old days in Carolina. And Baker said, "Good old what?"
Yeah, it was not good old days.
And then he said, "No, we do not." So Baker does not love the Carolina Panthers. He certainly doesn't love Jets defensive coordinator Steve Wilks.
Well, from 4 to 5, we love you guys, and we appreciate all the support you guys give us. We're on the way to 22,000 subscribers on our Pewter Report TV YouTube channel. Thanks to you guys. It's free to hit the subscribe button. So all you have to do is hit subscribe, boom, and it just helps us. But if you want to take your support to a new level, you can show your support for Pewter Report by becoming a Pewter Report TV channel members. We're up to 160 members, the highest number we've ever had, thanks to you guys. So find the membership level that fits your budget the best and help us out. $3.99 for the Pewter People membership, $6.99 for the Pewter Pro membership. Pewter Premier and Pewter Platinum members get access to our special bonus podcast we do every week, every Friday at 1:30, right after practice, the freshest information. Matt and I dish out for another hour. So you get access to that. $9.99 and $24.99 a month. To join, all you have to do is go to Pewter Report TV, our YouTube channel, hit the join button. Be on the front page, hit join, and that will give you all these options with all the different perks. And we greatly appreciate it. We use the money from our YouTube channel to fund our travel budget, to go to away games, to go to the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama, to the NFL Scouting Combine in Indy every year, to help you get up to speed on who the team is looking at in the draft. We nailed the draft like nobody else. So that's a big reason why, and we appreciate your support with all of our Pewter Report TV channel members.
Most definitely. One last comment before we sign off. Stubby Ryan says the Panthers also had Christian McCaffrey, Brian Burns, and DJ Moore. So, they fumbled the bag on several occasions.
Oops. Sorry, Matt. I was just going to do some promos.
Oh, sure. Do it up.
Yep. How do the banged-up Bucs stay competitive? That is the topic for tomorrow at 4 o'clock. We talked about our Pewter Insider Show on Friday. How will the Bucs deal with their injuries? Matt and I will have some scoop for you about that. Don't forget, on Sunday after the game, the Bucs at Seattle's post-game podcast about 7:30 Eastern time. And then, of course, Pewter pregame at 9 a.m. on Sunday. We'll get you set up there. If you missed the live show, don't worry. It's archived on Pewter Report TV. You can watch it anytime before kickoff. And then at kickoff, be here or be square. Pewter Game Day, October 5th, 4:05. Matt Matera and Daniel Morales on the call.
That's right. And you'll have more time to watch that pregame show because it's a 4 o'clock game. But if you're not already doing so, please make sure you're following us on all of our social media on X, Facebook, and Instagram. We're at Pewter Report. And our YouTube channel is Pewter Report TV. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment on this video, what your prediction is for the game, how you feel it may go. Would love to see all of those comments. So that'll do it for us on today's show. For Scott Reynolds, I'm Matt Matera saying thanks, everyone, for watching. We'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. for another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.